Welcome, Outlier customers, to another excellent YouTube video. This time, we are going to have a conversation with Charlotte. You are going to remember Charlotte from the Bravo University class. She very recently graduated. I think it was just last week they celebrated graduation. So, feel very fortunate to have an opportunity to bring her on stage and chat about her experience both before she came to Outlier and then going through the university all the way to becoming a graduate. So, Charlotte, it's so awesome to have you with us. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so this is really cool. Like I was in the first university called Alpha University, and made some amazing friends, right? And I feel like I changed quite a bit in
Yeah.
my trading approach. And yeah, so I could tell as you and your fellow students went through the program as well, how much you guys had changed. But I'm excited to hear your perspective of it. Like, what were you doing before YouTube introduced you to Christopher Yule and Outlier? Like, what was your trading approach like?
Oh my God. I was one of those people that paid for a trading course to learn how to sell options. I did covered calls for all of 2 weeks and then I found Chris.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah,
that changed everything, finding him.
I feel so fortunate that I never got into selling options after learning in the university classes what it means to be selling them, right? So I'm thankful that your adventure didn't take you into a blown up account.
It almost did, but my first introduction to the alphas was one of my covered calls went haywire and I reached out to Deepfort and he in turn spoke to you guys and got a consensus on what I should do to get out of it. And that was my very first introduction to the alphas and how you all worked as a team.
Oh my
So that
gosh,
was very cool.
I remember that now.
That was me.
I'm so glad you told that story. Yeah, I remember all of the alphas got together in our Discord chat and we were having a conversation about, okay, now from what we've learned from Chris and our own experiences, what would we do in this case? And so, by the way, for folks who don't know, a covered call, it means that you're going short, right? So you assume the price is going to drop, but you own shares of the stock, right?
Yes,
Yep.
that's
Okay,
the
good. Yep. Awesome. So you stopped doing cover calls and you didn't blow
I
up your
did.
account, but
Yeah, I got a big lecture from Deepfort. We
yeah.
don't sell stuff that we don't own.
Right, right. Awesome. Cool, cool. So what else did you, I guess, what was your major pullouts from Chris's lessons? Like we've learned that you decided you're not going to sell options. And I myself am not going to sell options. Don't sell options. They're way too risky. You don't know what the upside is. You don't know what the downside is. It's just not a good route, right? So
Yeah.
what else would you say is a major lesson learned for you coming out of university?
I think the biggest number one thing was trade your own plan. Like really think about your own plan. Don't just copy Chris. Actually think about like use him as a stepping stone, but use that as a roadmap to your own trading plan. That was the number one thing that I got, that you need your own plan.
Mm. Yeah, you
And
bring up
he's welcome to embrace everybody having their own plan. He's not advocating that we all follow him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's not trying to pitch that his plan is perfect and should be followed and even could be followed by other people.
Right.
You
Yeah.
you you actually see him improving his plan as time goes on. And that's one of the things you do get to watch in the Alpha and Bravo University videos, which is a great
I, I was
advantage.
actually really honored because he changed his plan based on one little small thing that I said. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was it that you tipped him off to?
Mine was I won't get into a trade if I can't roll it anywhere. I always look, can I roll before I actually enter the trade? And if I
Hmm.
can't, if there's no open interest or the spreads are too wide for the next ones, then I don't take the trade in the first place. And that's one of the new rules.
It is, yeah. I myself got bitten by that where I was in a trade and the price was going up, but I could not pull any risk off the table because there was
Right.
nowhere to roll to. Yeah.
And also too, if you go for one where the strikes are too wide, Like if they're $2.50 or $5 apart, that can really catch you out with nowhere to roll to as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
won't take any of those trades.
Yep. I'm thinking back, a year or more ago when I started really becoming a professional fund manager. And the things we're talking about right now in this interview, I would have no clue these words, right? That it's when you get into trading, it's almost like you have to learn a whole other language, and it can be a bit overwhelming.
So how were you trading before you did the alpha class?
Well, I was a classic retail trader. I feel like we all start with the wrong approach. I would think, oh man, it's on sale. I have to buy it. It's on sale. I'm going to make so much money on the way up. And then the price would go down. And I'd say, ooh, it's more on sale. And then the
Oh
price
no,
would go down. Yeah,
you really bought the dip.
exactly. Bought the dip and kept buying the dip.
You
Yeah.
doubled down.
Mhm. No, I got very, very lucky though. The biggest dollar cost averaging in a single stock that I did was with Tesla, and I bought it for around 110 and I sold it for around 450.
Oh,
It
so
did come back. It did come back.
but then you got rewarded for your bad behavior. So
Yes, I did. I did. You know that gift doesn't come to you over and over again. So,
right.
you
Next
don't.
time you tried it, it didn't work.
Yeah, you don't have to buy all the way down because again, you don't know where the bottom is. You
Yeah.
can just wait. You can wait until the trend changes and goes back up and then get in. And think of how much money you didn't lose if you
Right.
take that approach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a radical way of thinking about it, which I never thought of until Chris charted it on the screens for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of obvious. Like how
It
do we
is.
not see that?
It is. Yeah. But you see, there's so much content out there. There's so many YouTube providers out there that are pitching that as this is the approach.
Yeah.
This is how you're going to be successful. So it's no wonder that that's the kind of the hole that we all fall into, right? And so
Yeah.
the fact that Chris is giving the message he is, and he's basing it on real data, and he's using the outlier platform, which by the way is only 82 cents a day. I mean, how is it this cheap, right? Like,
It's so cheap.
I see comments from customers all the time. They're like, it's
Only
insane how
82
cheap this is.
cents.
Yeah. So I tell you what, I do have one more question for you, and then I want to show folks how to get access to the Alpha and Bravo libraries so they can go through and learn on their own time. And my
Fantastic.
question is, I know from a little bird that you and I live in completely different parts of the world. I'm curious, how do you deal with the time zone difference from where you live to where the Eastern time zone is concerning open and close of the market?
Okay, so for me, I'm in New Zealand, so the other side of the world, and the market opens at 3:30 a.m.
Oof.
and closes at 9 a.m. and I go to work at 7 a.m. So for me, I have to juggle around those. So unfortunately, it's not that great. I go to bed early. I wake up around about 2 a.m., jump online, listen to Chris, do my trading, and I have to trade I don't trade the open, but I trade the first hour of the day.
Okay.
Sometimes if it's the weekend, because your Friday is my Saturday, then I get the luxury of trading the last hour of the market. But usually by the time the market's closed, I'm at work. I'm not even looking at the screen, so I'm not getting to check twice as to what's happened.
Okay.
So I get up in the middle of the night.
This is interesting. So you have a different approach than Chris because of your lifestyle, your work hours. Yes. Yeah. And so that's another example of how you have to take the plan and you have to massage it into something that you can actually trade.
Right.
And
nothing is fixed in black and white. So you and I, we can trade very similar, but to our own tweaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Now, I had a similar, similar approach when I was trading futures, that I built a plan and I back tested it, and I on paper could have made money. But what I found was I couldn't trade it. I couldn't emotionally trade it. So here you're giving an example of how you have adjusted the time that you actually make your trades to be a different time than Chris. What I found was a kind of a trading psychology issue where I could not sit there and stare at that chart and actually take the signal that my plan told me to take. So yeah, you know, over time you're going to have successes, you're going to have failures, and you're going to adjust your plan to something that you can actually trade.
And I think that's what Chris means when he says you got to trade to your personality, and what works for him, but it doesn't work for other people. But there's so much flexibility. There's so many options, so many ways to change things to make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, we just heard from market wizard Mark Minervini, who trades completely differently than Chris and the outlier plans, and he's not even trading options, right? So there's definitely no one way to be a successful trader.
Yeah, we're all different.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's have a look at the library where folks could go and watch the Alpha and Bravo University videos at their own time. So if we go over to the Outlier Training with Joe channel on YouTube and we go to playlists, you're going to find multiple playlists, but the one we're going to focus here are these two, the black background and the green background. If we look at the Alpha playlist, you're going to find every single video from the Alpha University, all the way from where I came in barely knowing what a stock is, all the way to graduation, right? So just a little tip, a little heads up as to what you may find in these videos. If you were to run through lesson 1, you're going to hear things like, what is a company? What does it mean to have shares of a stock? What is a ticker? Let's see, what is a broker? You know, some of these foundational things that we all need to hear and make sure that what we think it is actually is what the definition has it be. And then lesson 2, we would hear things like cash versus margin, limit orders versus market orders versus stop orders. We actually see a few live trades in that one as well. Alpha University lesson 3, we learn about, let's see, how to cut losses. We actually hear from Mark Minervini again, a recording that Chris had done a few years ago. We learn about contrarian trading and testing moving averages. We look into lesson 4 here. We learn about ATR. We have lots and lots of questions about ATR. ATR is average true range, and it gives you a sense of the volatility of the ticker that you're looking at. We learn in lesson 5 a little bit more about volatility, and also that, you know, indicators are great, but you can have too many indicators. You can get a ton of noise, a ton of distraction that really take your attention off what's important. See, with lesson 6, we learn about backtesting and expectancy and having an edge, all those important things that tell you that your plan is likely to succeed. Lesson 7, we hear some personal stories, folks who had made some mistakes, tried not to repeat those mistakes. Yeah, we all go through those, don't we, Charlotte?
Sure do.
Let's see. Lesson 8, improving your plan. We learn about margin and position sizing, and we revisit the stops and stop losses. And we start hearing about Kelly criterion. Now, when you're trying to decide how much risk you're willing to put on the table, maybe from an emotional standpoint, or maybe just your risk tolerance, how much of your portfolio you should put into a trade on a per trade basis. We talk about that in lesson 8.
That's a big lesson.
Oh, it is huge, right? Like that was one of the eye-opening things for me, Charlotte. Instead of just spending like, I don't know, $1,000 on a particular position, learning that does not take into account the swings on a daily basis that a stock is typically seeing. Let's see, lesson 9, we talk about the outlier signals. So fear and greed, order blocks, market breadth. Okay, lesson 10, we finally start talking about option contracts, selling versus buying. We talk about spreads. So we kind of get a little deeper into the terminology that you're not usually exposed to when you're first getting into trading. So it's a little bit more of an advanced lesson. And then lesson 11 even digs in deeper into options. Things like the Greeks and the money that you're spending on time, for instance. We have some analogies about what is a contract. Chris likes to mention a coupon analogy at a grocery store being a kind of equivalent to an option contract. So reach out to that lesson for that analogy. Number 12, we have rolling. The importance of rolling. What does it mean to roll? Why would you roll? Rolling
Yeah,
is
that's a big one as well.
yeah. Rolling is all about taking risk off the table. So it's huge. There's different ways to behave as your price goes up. In this case, it's leaving a trade on, but taking away risk as the price goes up. Eventually, you can get into a trade that you have no risk in. It could go to zero and you've lost no money. So rolling is a ninja hack. You're going to love lesson 12.
And I think we all love rolling.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much, Charlotte. Like the thought of rolling less kind of bothers me.
There's no rolling less. We'll still be rolling.
Yeah. Lesson 13. Your moving averages. So your outlier trend template. This helps you figure out, is the market going down? Is the sector going down? Is the stock going down? And then you can watch it. When it starts to turn back up and the trend changes, the outlier trend template will give you that signal. Let's see, 14, we get into actually picking out our options contract, picking out the strike, and doing the calculations that help you decide which to get into. Let's see, 15, we talk about charting. SGov comes up. XGov is a bit of a hack here. Instead of sickening cash and making no interest, when you get into SGov, you can make a little interest, which is way better than losing money, right? And then 16, we talk about margin. We talk about a lack of taking your signals, not paying attention to your exits. We talk about, again, selling options and why that is just an awful, awful thing to get yourself into. Very dangerous, slippery slope. And we talk about carrying high interest debt. So these are kind of a look at what not to do. Lesson 7, building your trading strategy and journaling your trades, win rates versus edge, expectancy. Let's see, 18. Boy, we have a lot of videos here, don't we?
You do, more than we did.
Yeah. 18, we talk about those outlier signals again. We had some additions to the plan, outlier channels or Donchian channels. So a new indicator. We learn what a defensive play would be, for instance, moving into staples and utilities, and then making your plan at the beginning of the day so that when you get to your chosen time of the day to trade, you can make those trades without having a lot of jumbled noise, right? When you're trying to make a ton of decisions all at the same time, it's so easy to make a mistake. So, we talk about how to get your day set up early. And then 19, let's see, we have, why would a price movement be more important than profits? We have understanding your worst case scenario versus prediction, for instance. And finally, the big bonus here, advanced options trading tips. So there's a look at what you might learn if you go through the alpha classes. Now, I, being an alpha graduate, I went through that whole program and I learned a ton. But I'm excited Charlotte, to hear what you guys went through. If we look through the Bravo University Library, what might we find in lesson 1?
Lesson 1 for us, that was starting right back at the beginning, like what is a stock? It talked about the importance of finding a mentor, and it introduced trading psychology for the first time.
Awesome. What does lesson 2 bring to the table?
That one we discussed things like what are the 4 possible trades. Chris introduced market cycles. We looked at gambling versus trading, and again, more psychology. Basically just reinforcing what he'd already introduced in lesson 1 as well.
Yeah, that's a big one. Gambling versus trading, right?
Yeah.
When you're first starting out, sometimes you just don't know if you're attempting to make a trade, is it gambling or is it trading, right? So you get a little sense of that.
Similar, so
yeah.
And we call them wins and losses too, which does sound like gambling.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're not going to put it all on black as outliers,
right? And then number 3 is about personal attachments to stocks, the illusion of having control, about trade randomness.
Okay. How about lesson 4?
That was the weighted coin toss analogy came up on that one, and we looked at price targets. So quite a lot on that lesson.
I like when Chris goes into his analogies because it kind of takes the new terminology. That new terminology that you're trying to get familiar with, and it puts it into like a real world, real life experience context. So I look forward to those.
Yeah, they're very memorable.
How about lesson 5?
5, that was position sizing and talking about things like stop losses. So another major lesson.
Yeah, that's where I think you kind of get more of a sense of that gambling versus trading, right? Like, you could pick a stock and you could be right, but if you don't go in with the right size, maybe you're not even going to capture those profits, right? Or if you go in too big and it goes against you, where are you going to get out? Like there's so much to getting your positioning right that I had no idea before I came to Outlier how to do that.
Before I joined the Bravo class, I actually asked Aussie Ian what was his biggest lesson from the Alpha class, and he said position sizing. That was his number 1 takeaway from the whole thing.
Oh, okay, right on.
So that's the importance of it.
How about lesson 6?
Lesson 6, we got to watch Chris trade live. So that's all about us, more about Chris on that one, but he's literally showing us him placing a live trade.
That's insane. I don't know of any other YouTube presenter who actually shows me how to trade step by step and the buttons to click. This is awesome. Now, just as a tip, you can see every single trade that Chris took in the 2026 U.S. Investing Championship by clicking on the link down at the bottom of this video in the description. So again, you get to actually see how a professional fund manager trades. It's amazing.
And I can even see inside his portfolio manager as well. I can literally look right in at every note he's made. That's cool too.
Absolutely. And you can see how he position sizes even. It's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Like nothing is hidden.
All right. Lesson 7. What do we have there?
That lesson 7 was us students, a selection of us. We walked through our trading plans, and Chris sat back and listened to them, and we showed what we do and highlighted a few differences that each of us all do. Not all of us had the same plan. So that was really cool. Lots of lessons were learned.
That's incredible, right? You got to bring your plan to the table and have a professional fund manager review it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, and he's so encouraging too. Like he's never negative about something. So, but he'll still give you good advice.
Yeah, for sure. All right. How about lesson 8?
Lesson 8 was pretty serious. That was all about the power of journaling and logging your trades.
Yeah, we have to journal our trades or else we can't backtest them and improve them, right?
And also, if you're making errors, you won't know unless you actually got it in black and white. Like if you've messed up somewhere along the line with your math or something like that, your trading will show you that.
Right. All right. Lesson 9.
That we mainly covered things like SGov and what to do when you're not trading, how not to blow up your funds.
Yeah, like, even if you're going to make a little bit of money as you're sitting in cash, it's so much better than losing money in gambling, right?
4% is what a lot of the professional fund managers are offering you, and they take a cut of that. So if we can get 4% from SGov.
Yeah. All right. Lesson 10.
Lesson 10 was determining your personal trade discomfort or comfort. And also, again, which you guys did, it introduced the Kelly criterion as well.
Okay.
So quite in depth, that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one because as you learn more about risk management, you're going to be thinking, well, how much should I risk per trade? And you don't just pick that out of the air, right? There's equations and there's logic behind how you pick that number. So a lesson.
Yeah, just doing the math.
10.
Yeah, you're not just picking a random number. There's actually a mathematical reason for what you do.
Mm-hmm. And 11.
11, expectancy. We also looked at the Monte Carlo stimulator, and ATRs was addressed on that one as well. We went into that quite a lot on that lesson.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're getting to the end here. Lesson 12.
Option 12, that was our first big look at options themselves. So we looked at strikes, at open interest, your moneyness, everything that you needed to know to make a decision on which options to choose.
So it sounds like you had to learn fundamentals and then emotions and trading psychology long before you were trying to pick something to get into.
Yeah, totally. Chris addressed those first, like straight off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important your psychology must be.
And then lesson 13, a little bit more in options, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. We looked a little bit at strategies that don't work, like the wheel and things like that, why you don't want to do covered calls. He talked a bit about hedging, but basically just your options deep dive.
Okay. Yeah, and if you want to learn more about options in a deep format, very detailed format, don't forget that every Wednesday, Chris has a morning show where he answers questions and goes right into things like theta and gamma and rho and spreads. So if you get into lesson 13 and it really trips your trigger and you really want to learn more, check those Wednesday videos. What about lesson
Wednesday's
14?
Great. Again, more on the option selections. So looking at the different contracts and things, you're picking your dates. So basically 12, 13, and 14 were really just looking at your option choices.
Okay, awesome. And I bet you none of those suggest to you that you should sell options.
No. No.
How about
Chris will hit you with a ruler if you sell options.
Yeah, I believe one of these videos, he made all the students raise their hand and promise never to. How about lesson 15?
15 is everyone's favorite thing, is rolling.
I love rolling.
We love rolling.
Rolling is a ninja hack. And I guarantee I have no doubt that I would never have learned about rolling if it wasn't for Outlier.
Right. And he looks at why you should roll, like what it's actually achieving and what happens if you don't roll. So really a big one.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And I think he covers some of that in 16 as well, right?
Yeah. And also too, 16 is about your trading mistakes, and we all make those. So it was a looking at what mistakes we've all made, what price we've paid.
Yeah. If you can avoid making the same mistake somebody else made, you'll have a leg up.
Oh man, I think I made every mistake, and yet I still, every time I think, oh, that's it, I've made all the mistakes, I'll find another one to make.
One of the easiest mistakes that I found is letting that loser keep being a loser and just thinking, you know what? Tomorrow this sucker is going to go back up. That price is going to skyrocket. I have to stay in. And then it comes and just continues on the way down.
Right. And then you don't tell anybody because you don't want anyone to know that you didn't get out when they all did.
That's right. That's right.
Shame.
Okay. I think we left off at 17, was it? What are we doing 17?
Outlier trend template. We took a really good look at that. And moving averages was another big hot topic on that day.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And this, the outlier trend template and the moving averages, that can save you from so much hassle. Like, even if you get to those option videos and you're like, I don't want to trade options. I don't understand it. I don't want to learn it. When you get into the outlier trend template and the moving averages, you can stop from riding these things all the way down 20, 30, 40% because those signals are there and they're free. The indicators are free. Like
Yeah.
all you have to do is pay attention to them. When the averages cross, it's telling you the trend has changed. It can save you so much hassle.
Yeah, they're phenomenal tools. They really
Yeah.
are. Number
All right.
18 was Lex from
Yeah,
Trading,
Lex.
our market maker. That was amazing. Like that was a total mind-blowing. I didn't understand 90% of it. I had to watch it about 4 times.
Yeah, I did too.
It was
I did
so in
too.
depth.
Yeah, so for all of Alpha and then the vast majority of Bravo, we heard that there's this thing out there called a market maker, right? And it was
Right,
just
they're
kind of
out to
this,
get you.
it was kind of this concept, right? Well, we actually got to meet one.
Yeah,
Well,
he was real nice. He
I
wasn't the
watched from the
boogeyman.
I watched from the sidelines, but Charlotte got to meet him. But you hear
Yeah, he
from
was
his
nice.
it's like hearing from the other side of the fence, from their perspective, like
Yeah.
why would a contract be created? And what does it mean when you sell to close, not sell to
Yeah.
open? When you sell to close a contract that you already have, what's happening in the background? And what sort of decisions are they making on the market side? It was an amazing session, and you don't want to miss that one.
And amazingly too, it actually went towards Chris tweaking the plan after that. That was one of the things that led us to reviewing our spread sizes that came as a direct result of Lex.
Yep,
So
yep, and open interest also. Like, how many folks are out there trading the contracts that we're looking at, and not
right,
just at the strike, not just at the strike price that we're in, but the strikes
yeah,
below that, all the way out of the money to a degree too.
yeah,
Yeah,
that was me.
yeah. That your badge of honor. You should wear
I
that.
know, right? Still living off that.
Yeah. Well, this was awesome, Charlotte. Thanks for taking some time to meet with us and kind of give your perspective and little insight into how you were trading before Outlier became your tool of choice. This was great.
It was great to get some of your feedback too and hear about how you grew and what alpha experience was for you as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope we can find time to do some more videos, Charlotte, and I think maybe we'll even talk about the steps that Chris goes through in his trading plan, maybe in our next video.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe the new steps too, because I'm not very good at those. So if we can go over those again.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Have a good day, Charlotte. I'll see you later.
Thank you, Joe. Bye.
Bye.